Okay, so I'm going to be talking about my gaming mouse choice. And I mean, you can see from the title, it's the Logitech MX518. But to explain why I chose that and why it's kind of an unusual choice, it kind of first helps to look at some of the features you could expect with a modern gaming mouse and why you're not going to get those with a Logitech MX518 and why I'm okay with that. So when I kind of got back into FPS gaming, I knew I needed a better mouse than whatever I had previously. I think I had a GS400, which was another Logitech mouse, but that one was kind of on its way out. It was dying. One of the buttons stopped clicking, and I couldn't be bothered to actually take the time to do a complete repair on it. So I did some research and I found this Redragon M711. Really good deal. I think I got it for less than $20 Canadian, which is probably like 13 bucks US. It was on sale, but still, it was a crazy good deal. And I was really surprised with what you got for that amount of money. So one of the first things that kind of differentiates this from the MX518 is like every other gaming peripheral these days, it has RGB. Right now, it's going to be hard to see because my camera setup is awful because I'm just using my webcam. But it's kind of like right now cycling through an array of colors. And I think you can actually have this work with like a chroma program, so it synchronizes with all the rest of your gaming gear if you actually have a theme. So if you're doing like red lighting, green lighting, whatever you're using for the rest of your gear, you can have this kind of go along with that. And that's my understanding. Maybe that's not the case, but at least you can pick a color that works with your scheme. So you're not going to get that with the 518. Another nice thing I found about this one specifically, I don't know if this is common on every single gaming mouse these days, but if you look at the actual cord that this comes with, it has this really high quality like nylon braid. Which makes it feel like this thing is never going to be damaged. It feels like you could rappel off the side of a cliff with the damn thing, and you wouldn't even have to worry about it breaking. It feels super solid. The connector as well that you actually use to hook this thing up to your computer is just overkill. It is, probably, I don't know, maybe like 3.5 centimeters or like 2 inches, or not 2 inches, maybe an inch and a half long. Gold plated connector. So, I mean, all this stuff is very premium. You didn't really see this on any kind of gaming gear back in the day. And it lends to an overall, like, really high quality feel for a really, really affordable product. And the actual performance was great too. And my colors changed, which is cool. Kind of works with my desk now. Oh, nope, back to yellow. So another thing too that I noticed with this, obviously, being a very gaming focused product, the actual keys have a really satisfying click. I don't know if you can hear that on the microphone, but it's almost like a mechanical keyboard type click. It has even like the mouse wheel. It has like a good depression and a really positive feedback when you hit it. So the ergonomics, at least with regards to buttons, is really good. The buttons on the side as well have that same feeling. Slightly tall, but really positive click, so you really know when you engage one of these. One thing I didn't like is the placement of these buttons. When I am doing a claw type grip, this is back here. So you end up doing this like weird Spider-Man thing if you want to try to hit these. Now, I realize most people use these. I'm not sure if most people do, but the default settings is to use these as DPI and RGB buttons. If I ever change the DPI in my games, like Apex, I'd be dead. So I always remap these buttons. Actually, it's usually, put away your gun. This one is my heal button, and this one is my secondary gun. And then over here, I have my crouch, slide, and melee. So I always have those kind of mapped the same way. This leaves me incapable of doing this. When I was playing Fortnite with this thing, I had some buttons up here that I was using, and I found it like I'd have to disengage from the front mouse buttons to actually engage these ones. So that was actually probably one of the main reasons I stopped using this mouse. More on the ergonomics. If you look on the side here, but get this to the focus, it has this like super cool high tech like hexagon weave, and it's a little bit raised. really nice grip, really positive feel. And then one of the two thumb buttons here has like this dimple texture. This one back here is smooth, so you can identify which one you're hitting. The track wheel has these chevrons that are kind of raised, and they're rubberized. Super, super positive feeling. Notchy. It's not like a free spinning one, but it ergonomically a fantastic design. Very similar to a Death Adder, if any of you have used that before. Interestingly enough, I don't like it. I don't like the almost like boxy shape where it's almost as wide at the front as it is at the back. It has like a pretty consistent thickness the whole way through. It does have a slight tapering under the thumb, and maybe somebody with a different grip than me would find this amazing, but it's just not my favorite. It was a really good mouse when I used it, but I don't use it anymore, and I will explain why. This is one of the most unassuming gaming mice I think that you'll ever see in the market these days. It does not look like an SR-71 Blackbird. It doesn't look like it's going to transform into a robot and run down the street. It's not lit up like a runway. It is actually largely flat black with this kind of metallic silver sparkle in the paint, which actually does come through on the camera, strangely enough. Really unassuming. Like if you saw somebody using this in an office, you wouldn't even bat an eyelash. Just looks like a mouse. Comparing it up against the M711, look at this cord. This thing's like linguini. It looks like it's actually going to break if you look at it. It actually has like a pretty satisfying rubberized texture. Like it's not like cheap plastic, but it's super thin. And unlike the Redragon, it actually feels like it potentially could break. Likewise, the connector. Actually, this is the wrong connector. The connector, other than this like G logo on here, you would not know this is from a gaming peripheral. It's not gold plated. It is super tiny, and it really feels cheap, to be quite honest. However, I still love it. So ergonomics, I think for a lot of people, not as good as the Redragon. And then with the texturing, button here, smooth, smooth, smooth track wheel, smooth here, smooth here, smooth here. These ones don't even have the arrow indentations. I think this is because it's the pre-order one. I believe some versions of this actually have the arrow indentations. Correct me if I'm wrong. This one is like as bare bones as it gets. There's no demarcations of anything on any of these buttons. They're just there. The actual feedback, it's clicky, but I would say it's not as positive as the Redragon. The left click and right click, however, are very, very positive feedback. Again, the forward and back buttons also, I mean, they do what you need them to do, but they are by no means, super high feedback. Texture, there is none. It's smooth plastic. There's none of that nice hexagon pattern on the side. There's no nice rubberized chevron texture on the track wheel. It's just a track wheel. This mouse was designed to cater specifically to people like me because I'm an older gamer and I used the original version of this. And once you learn how to use this mouse, other mice feel really crappy. So let me tell you what the beauty of this thing is. The ergonomics are majestic. It is so good. The thumb rest here, it's like it puts your thumb in this kind of perfect straight line pattern. These buttons are super easy to get to. But what I really love, this button, totally gettable. This one is totally gettable. That one is totally gettable. I can hit those things. I mean, this one, yeah, I do have to kind of come off the button, but it's not like I got to go back to the G logo here. I just got to go back here. So, and then this one I can hit on the fly. That's the one I use to put my gun away in Apex and run. This is the heel one, and I can go from like left click to there, super easy. My secondary weapon, I can go from left click to here, super easy. It doesn't have any buttons on this side, and I don't use them. So that's what I mean. It's like totally designed for somebody like me. And I also don't care about RGB. I mean, my desk is kind of color coordinated, red and black. Maybe I'll show that in a different video. And my gaming laptop's all red and black. But the fact that my mouse is not red and black, I don't give a crap. I just care about the performance, and the performance of this thing is amazing. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell by my gameplay when playing it, which I probably have running in the background. It's it's nothing to do with the mouse. That's 100% me. But yeah, the things I love about this, the taper. So it goes from a very, very narrow point to a very narrow point with a wide hip. So this section here, but then the hip is on the base plate, and then it recesses where your thumb lies. And something about if I slide my thumb and my pinky down this way, it feels like there's a platform for it to rest on, and then the rest of the fingers just kind of naturally fall into place for a claw grip. I don't know if you were doing like a palm grip. If it maybe a palm grip would be a little bit difficult because it kind of has this like bulbous shape where I feel like your hand would be up too much. But for a claw grip, it is perfect. And it's just everything just seems to lie exactly where I want it. But I don't know if that's because the ergonomics are fantastic or if it's because this is the mouse I learned how to play shooters on. So again, it's really tough to make a recommendation that you should buy this. If you used an MX mouse in the early 2000s, no brainer, you should get this mouse. There's no reason to grab like a Proteus or any of these other like newer Logitech mice or any of the other ones that are on the market with holes drilled in them or anything else. Get this one. It has the updated sensor, so it's competitive with other mice on the market. It has robust switches, and it feels exactly like the MX that you used back in the day. That's why I love it. It is home for me. It's just muscle memory. It would be like if you learned how to drive in a specific manual car and then you jumped in another car that had a slightly different transmission. If you jump back into that old car you learned on, it would always feel like a glove. And this just to me feels like a glove. So that's why I would say if you're looking for a modern gaming mouse, I would kind of try all the other ones, to be quite honest. If those ones fit you, you're going to get better ergonomics, you're going to get better looks, you're going to get RBG, you're going to get nice textured surfaces and more robust connections, and it'll just look like a proper, gaming mouse. But if for some reason this is the form factor that fits you, there's literally no reason to not get this. I mean, unless not having RBG is a reason, or it being kind of ugly, which it is actually compared to some other. I mean, you put these guys side by side. This is a much better looking mouse, not on this camera because it sucks, but in person, much better looking mouse and cheaper. I mean, this thing's not cheap either. It's not like a super great deal. I think it was like $60 US when I pre-ordered it, which is a lot of money in Canada. It's like over 80. I think it was almost 90 by the time tax was applied. That's a lot of money for a really simplistic mouse that looks like something you'd get in your office your first day at work, even as an intern. But yeah, for me, it just does everything I want to do. So anyway, that was a lot of me rambling about something really basic, which is mice. But if you happen to be interested in the M711, I'll put a link to it. I don't have an affiliate. I'll just put a link to it. I don't care. And I'll put a link to the MX518 as well. Obviously, you know what my choice is. But actually, the M711 makes a really good value statement too. If you try that mouse and you like the way it feels, by all means buy it. It's been fantastic for me. But like I said, this is just it is my jam. Anyway, that concludes, I guess, my review, or basically an explanation of why I use this thing, even though it's anachronistic. There's your word for today. It's not really in suiting with the time in which we are, but I still love it. And as always, thanks for watching.